Kelp! Today is all about Kelp. Welcome back to Building Isandor episode 6, the one where I make a kelp farm.
And here we are standing at what is the layer between the brimstone area up there, which is one day going to be lush and not all full of brimstone, and the Meridia, the underwater area. In fact, the blocks I have my feet on, I almost fell there. I have my feet right now on what I am considering making the water level for the flooded cave area and thus Meridia. I'm here because this is mostly going to be the site of our kelp farm. I'm going to need kelp for building a little bit, and because I'm gonna use dried kelp as a building block. So we're gonna be doing a kelp farm, and what I have in mind is 2 layers, and having the water. Let me actually, it's going to go over there. Having the water basically fall over the 2 layers and then thus push the kelp downward, and have what is essentially the base of a layer of that farm be very near to the water level there. So it almost looks like the water falls into Meridia and then like feeds the flooded cave that way. Um, we'll see what I can manage. I've never done one of these farms. I know a bit about it, but I want it to be where that big dripstone thing is right now, and probably like deeper into that wall. So we've got some digging to do just to make sure the area is freer for the like. That's I need enough space to make that farm happen. So this is what we started with. Just more digging. Let's go. Alright, here we are. I've dug out a chunk of the wall, and where you see the two white lines, the two diorite lines, is basically where the blocks of the kelp will be placed on. It's not going to be diorite, that's just a placeholder. And kelp is, I'm probably going to let it grow maybe up to 4 or 5 blocks, I think. I have to think about that, but basically, at least the behind row is gonna grow at least up to the ceiling. If it can, obviously, if it gets farmed too often, it won't reach that high. So this is the placeholder for it. It gave me an idea of, I think I might need to dig it a little more, but otherwise I'm good with where it's placed. Something else I hadn't really shown you is when I placed those there, I also dug up a little tunnel so that I would be able to make a little like room here. We're gonna have to, eventually dig more of everything out. And the idea is that this is kind of the last room before you get into Meridia, and I'll probably build something to give me that contains and dispenses the water-related armor if I want it. That way, if I want to change basically my armor, I can just opt into super material gravity suit and have respiration and all that on me. Even though there are going to be underwater conduits, they're called. I couldn't remember that last time, but conduits to give me all the night vision and stuff. It's gonna help anyway, and I don't know if I can put conduits everywhere just yet because they're also massive and they take up space, so I will have to think about what I do with them. But yeah. So this is where the farm is going to be. We're gonna gather up what I need for it and try to build that up. As I said, I have no experience with it, so I know some things about how kelp functions in this game, and we'll talk about that as I do the thing. But I guess this is our first official farm, the first farm that's meant to stay there, because all the cactus and stuff, they're all gonna move once I get settled into the base a bit more. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to think about the aesthetic of it, even though there's no water yet, just so I don't have to rebuild too much of it when I finally terraform this area. So let's get everything gathered. We're back at the Kelp farm, and I have filled the chest with things that I think I might need. It's not. This is not an exact list. I actually don't know exactly what I'm gonna need for this, but I gathered a few blocks for building. I got some blue glass that I'm not gonna put down because I don't have the silk touch on me. Oh, I do have a silk touch pickaxe now. Some observers, the kelp, and we're gonna, you know, put the sword down because we're not gonna need that, but we are going to need as much inventory space as I can probably, and we're gonna try to get this thing figured out. So the first thing I know is that I want to plant this on mud, so we're going to start by putting down, changing up the diorite. I used diorite because it was easy to see, but this is definitely not what I want to put my kelp on. Even though the kelp can technically go on just about anything. Let's just, before I break it. Alright, so I put the basic redstone in. I'm just gonna explain the way this farm works is this is where I plant the kelp, and whenever the kelp grows, this block detects, these are observers and they detect when the block in front of them change. So whenever the block in front of it grows or changes, which includes, you know, kelp growing into that space, it will send a redstone signal. Slightly worried now about it's going to send it into this block, and I would have to pick up that signal here and use it to basically power all the pistons that are under it and have the piston. Oh, my pistons are 1 too low right now. Alright, here we go. Because I want there to always be 1 piece of kelp untouched by the pistons, so it needed to be 1 block lower. I'll just move a few things first, and I'll be right back. Alright, fixed. It's a little it's more spaced out now, but you know that will allow it to work, which is important. So as I was saying, the kelp will be planted there in water, and then it grows, and whenever it grows up to this height, this thing reads it and sends a signal, and what I have to do now is basically take this signal and make sure it can power all the pistons under, and all of them at once, so that they all push out at the same time. And that will break the kelp, and then we can collect the kelp right here is the intent. This is where I want to be collecting it. So there will also be a glass like wall here, just so the kelp doesn't go flying over the collection area. I have done some redstone, but there's a lot of basics that I kind of always forget. So we're gonna just test out a few things here. Just gonna put myself some steps. If I... Alright. If I do this, does it power the pistons? Yeah, alright, so this is gonna be pretty simple. Because basically the line of red is how you carry that power, and it actually powers the block under, and that block allows it to power the piston. If that has power, the piston has powers, and that's why the pistons go out. There we go. And there's a reason I put 3 of them, even though you might think I would just need 1 and that 1 could make the entire line go every now and then. But there's a thing about Kelp has a property they call age, and it can kind of spawn already aged to the max, and if that happens it won't grow. So I put 3 on each because the odds of all 3 of them like being at age 24, which is the max, at the same time are pretty low. A lot of the farms I've seen actually have the entire row has hoppers, but if I could get away with not putting the resources for that just yet, I wanted to. I'm basically being cheap here, but I think that's enough, and I don't think we need this thing to run at maximum efficiency either. I'm using blocks here because I don't want the redstone to, I don't want the water to get behind and splash on the redstone. It would break it. So I think I'm gonna install uppers, and I'm gonna get the redstone done upstairs, and then glass wall, hoppers for collection, and we'll test the water flow at least to make sure it works alright. So in theory this farm is now operational. You can see that the kelp is growing on its own, and it will all get destroyed whenever any of the 6th one in front of the observers go out, and when that happens it should all flow down into the uppers. The one thing I would like to do eventually is basically break these blocks and let the water flow. But I think if I do that, I'm not collecting anything, so I might kind of fake the waterfall and add some water blocks under it, just flowing down into, because this, again, this is the water level, so this will all be flooded, so it just feels appropriate, you know? We're not quite done. We need a chest to collect our things. Just gonna put a double chest here. In theory, we now have a like fully functioning, self-sufficient kelp farm. So just me being in the area should let the kelp grow and make this farm work. Now I'm gonna do the very boring part and actually destroy this ugly cobblestone platform I made under. So see you soon. Okay, so I went caving around the north area a little more, and look what I found. This is a geode. Oh yes, look at the pretty purple. Nice. Alright, let's just get in there. I'm so glad I got one of those around my base. I'm glad to have finally found it, because I was slowly starting to get worried. It's that time again. I hit level 30. Diamond pickaxe. Come on, please. Again. All I want is silk touch, man. Attempt number, I don't even know how many anymore. Yes! It has it! Oh, finally. So one of the cool parts of all the digging and constructing I've been doing is that I gathered a lot of resources. So I have several stacks of dripstone that we could use for the path, that path there that I haven't really touched yet. And I also have more than a row, 10 stacks and a half of coarse dirt, and a bunch of deep slate, which I use the silk touch for. And also, it's over there. Nope, not this one. Not this one. This one. I also have several stacks of mud ready, so we're gonna make some room in our storage, because I haven't shown you that in a while, but this one's okay, but this is okay, but I had to move all the carrots there because we're running out slowly of space. It's still bearable, but making some room will definitely help me feel saner until I can start a proper storage system, make a midway storage system. I'm not sure yet. So first we are gonna just use up the blocks, do a bunch of terraforming here to keep removing the grass, and also just continue. First I can have the path here done, and continue making this cave look like a criteria and probably block off that path here. We'll see, but it will certainly change. So let's get to work. Alright, we are done with the terraforming work for the day. I've changed a lot of the grass into dirt. I had to be really careful with the coarse dirt to keep the grass from creeping it back in, which it has. I think I've redone some sections twice by now. It's already annoying me. Already making me regret my choices, but we'll live with it. I put a little bit of retaining wall here just because, I don't know, it felt like it needed something to just change it up from the hills. But I did create, like, there's this old space here, and I want to put something small here just to kind of decorate, but I'm not sure what yet. It might straight up be, like, flowers and the rest of the bees I have. I have to decide. But it would help put some color in here. And so yeah, you come back up and all of this is now brown. Brown, and then that's also changed brown, and then you got this path. I changed it a little bit, and then I made the bridge. There we go, and I made the dripstone tunnel, and it ends here. But eventually what I want is for this to connect to the village directly, so that we have, just so that we're tied into the world a bit more. And then I did also kind of make something happen under the bridge too, just with the dripstone, kind of like it's coming through. I might add more eventually, or just, I don't know, do more with this area, but it's not a priority. Now when you stand here, there's a lot less green. It looks a bit more broken down and everything. It feels a little heavy, all this dirt texture, so I might try to come back and mix in a block that has similar colors but isn't quite as heavy. I'll have to experiment with that. And then there's my favorite part. I changed up, see, I put all the deep slate here. It does make it so it's kind of hard to make steps up, because you can't make steps from that, so I'll have to find a way to make this not jumpy all the way up, but look at how much it has changed. Like this is all the grate is what it looks like before, and now we have all the mud here, and I stopped here, but I did continue down a little bit here. It's not quite done, but you know, it's a lot of progress, but just the ambience is completely different, and it makes me so happy now to just stand here and have the proper gutter scheme. I used root so it wouldn't quite all be mud, and the other thing I want to do is I want to farm up this to make like patches of glow light to light up, partly to light up the cave, because right now I put like little lanterns everywhere and I still have torches, but I want those to be gone, but also just to break up all the moss. Like this would have been a really good place to put some glow light in, so there's probably a farm for this coming soon. And that's it. That's the terraforming part. I'm really happy with it. And just especially the criteria part. One thing I really want to do, I think, is I still have some resources left. I think what I want to do is every episode basically do a little more of this. Just make it progress little by little so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And yeah, so there's definitely going to be more of that. It's probably going to be time-lapsed and or just ignore entirely in the future, but you've seen what it's like now. Yay!
And that will be it for today. If you're wondering, the maps are back right there. I put them back a bit later than the time lapse, but I do have them and they will be updated as soon as I build something outside. Which is probably next episode, but for now, thank you for watching again. I hope you've liked the cave transformation because this feels so good to me. So there's definitely going to be more of that. I'll see you around next time.